Peter ran through the school looking for Quinn and Vorden. Peter didn't know what to do. Both of his friends were acting strangely lately. Peter wasn't used to having friends. He always avoided people at his last school. It kept him alive at the time, but now Peter felt inept when his friends needed him. Peter didn't think anyone would ever look out for him. Now, Vorden spent every evening teaching him about his new powers. Quinn defended Peter from bullies, even though he was low level, just like Peter. Peter wanted to be there for his friends. He had no idea what had happened with Quinn. However, he knew Vorden hadn't been the same since his fight in the assembly hall. The second-year students had done something to Vorden. Peter tried asking other students what happened, but no one talked to him. He even got threatened if he kept asking. Peter knew he couldn't keep going. He'd just get beaten up again. That would only cause more trouble for his friends. Peter began to walk back to his room when he heard a familiar voice. As he turned the corner, he saw Vorden. His friend stood alone, staring at the ground. Peter quickly hid, wanting to see what was going on. Maybe he's dealing with a second year again. Vorden won't tell me what's going on with him, but this might give me a clue. Lately, Vorden had ignored Peter. He even told Peter to stay away from him. That wasn't his usual behavior at all. Peter always did as Vorden asked. However, he wouldn't stay away now. This might be Peter's only chance to find out what happened to his friend. Vorden stared at the ground. Would you two calm down? Peter waited to hear someone else's voice. However, he heard nothing. Finally, Vorden spoke again, as though responding to someone Peter couldn't see. I don't care if he hurt the little one's feelings. Quinn is allowed to talk to other people. Peter leaned in closer, hoping to hear a different voice. Once again, he heard nothing. Vorden scratched his head, frustrated. I won't forgive you if you hurt them. I won't let it get out of hand like last time. Peter listened as closely as he could, but he only heard Vorden's voice. Did the other person leave already? I can only see Vorden. Who is he talking to? I wish I understood any of this better. Vorden walked away before Peter had a clear picture of what was going on. Lunch break was over. They had to go back to class. Peter still had no idea how he'd help Vorden. Peter watched as Quinn exited the library with Layla. Peter got so excited seeing Quinn, he didn't think to give Quinn space with a girl. Peter waved his friend over. Quinn, come quick! Quinn sighed. He'd had a long day. Listen, Layla, I'll meet you at the front gate tonight once classes are over. I've got to go. Quinn walked away before Layla could object. Peter and Quinn walked off to class together. Peter couldn't keep the questions on his mind from spilling out. Hey, are you okay? I was worried about you when you bolted out of the room like that. Did something happen? Quinn laughed, trying to make light of it. Sure, everything's fine. I just really had to run to the bathroom. Literally. Peter felt relief wash over him. At least one of his friends was back to his usual self. Whoa, too much information, but I'm glad you're okay. I'm really worried about Vorden. Ever since he came back from that assembly hall, he's been acting strange. Quinn placed his hand on Peter. He knew the scrawny boy was startled. Quinn felt bad for leaving Peter to handle the situation with Vorden alone. His powers had kept him busy until now, but he wouldn't let Peter and Vorden down again. Don't worry, Peter. We'll find out what's going on together. When they entered their next class, they saw Vorden already in his seat. He smiled at them like his usual self. Hey, guys. How you doing? Peter took his seat to the right of Vorden. Quinn sat to the left of Vorden. Peter couldn't keep the worry out of his voice. Are you feeling any better? It seems like you were really down. Vorden tried to keep his smile, but it wavered for a moment. Don't worry about it. The second year was a little tougher than I thought, that's all. I got a little bummed about it, but I'm fine now. Quinn didn't keep up pretenses. He wanted to know the truth. What happened at the assembly hall? Vorden's face soured for a moment. He looked like he was holding something back. Vorden clenched his fist for a few seconds, then relaxed. Guys, don't worry about it too much. You know I'm strong. I can handle myself. Peter relaxed, seeing Vorden return to his usual self. Quinn didn't buy it. He noticed that Vorden held something back. Vorden didn't want to tell them the truth. That worried Quinn. When the class began to fill up, Quinn heard whispers all around him. He couldn't pick out the words clearly, but he heard Vorden's name every time. Whenever Vorden looked at the student gossiping, they would go quiet. Quinn heard other words too. They used words like crazy, weirdo, and monster to describe Vorden. Quinn began to feel like there was a big secret that he and Peter weren't privy to, but the rest of the school knew about it. Even Vorden kept quiet about it. Quinn stole a glance at Vorden. His friend stayed motionless with his head down. Vorden spent the whole class with his head down on the table. He didn't even take any notes. Whatever is going on, it's really messing with Vorden. If the rest of the school won't tell me or Peter, I need to ask someone outside of our circle. Maybe I'll ask Layla later. No one knows that the two of us know each other. She'll probably have more intel than me. Students began to gather their things, but Professor Dell demanded their attention. Before you go, there's something important you should know about. Look at this list I have on the screen. Please read this carefully and see where your name is. Tomorrow, we will begin the start of your combat classes. The list divided students based on their abilities. It listed elemental abilities, transformation abilities, enhancement abilities, and so on. However, Quinn noticed that his name wasn't on any list, nor was Vorden's. Huh? Dell noticed a couple of confused faces. He smiled, expecting this. If your name is not on the list, your ability doesn't fall into any of the categories listed. Or maybe you are an original with unique ability. If that's the case, you are free to choose whichever class you believe suits you best. Students are also able to switch between combat classes if they wish. These are not set in stone. The school's recommendation is based on your ability. Quinn's wristwatch vibrated. The list appeared on the watch's screen. Quinn could choose what class he'd like to go to by clicking on it. Which class would suit me best? And more importantly, how do I keep my ability a secret in a combat class?
Subscribe now and start watching free episodes of the #1 fantasy show in this YouTube playlist. For the full story, click the link in the description, download the Pocket FM app, and watch all episodes of My Vampire System.